Hello, folks. Hey, it's Christy here again. So, first a brief Blue Grimoire update. Um, I had kind of hit a block with editing, which isn't very good because my deadline is fast approaching. So, I have this big inspiration. There is one final ritual left to be performed, and I'm going to hopefully be recording that. It's the rise of Leviathan ritual. Anyway, so I thought I would begin with a topics in Magick series. Um, and so the natural place to begin is, okay, what is magic? I've always heard like causing change by ellipses, and that never really explained very much to me. So I think that I want to begin by defining magic as first, it's the recognition of the spiritual reality, right? It's an acknowledgement that the spiritual world does in fact exist, and that it has some bearing, sometimes big, sometimes small, on the so-called material world, on the phenomenal world. This sort of weights the scale one way or another. The magician seeks to understand these weightings and manipulate them to his own ends by changing the weight or such. Perhaps the first step of magic is the mundane. Mundane magic is trying to bring about your desired change, I would say, by making a physical manipulation, right? The without you take the physical world and try to move it into what the spiritual world is. So it's in essence it's magic in reverse. Um, the A very good example, which I forget now, it was someone affiliated with the Temple of Set offered, was that if you look at money, excuse me, here's $5 bill. It's a piece of cloth with some symbols on it. Sorry about the interruption. That was a phone call I had to take. Um, so we were at mundane magic, right? So we have the piece of cloth, some symbols, and this automatically becomes something which has value. It has value in virtue of its symbols. Neurolinguistic programming might be another form of mundane magic, or manipulating people. If you've ever been inside a casino, the fact that it's all dark and strangely shaped, and there's the clocks and all the lights, and it's meant to remove you from the reality, so you're more willing to part with your money. A lot of movie theaters do the same thing. So, mundane magic is definitely part of our world. Perhaps Walt Disney was the greatest mundane magician of all time. And we have mundane. Moving past that now, we have mental magic. And this is sort of the trying to cause an alignment of spiritual forces by projecting our own intention into the spiritual world so that it has the effect on the physical, right? It's the intense visualization. You project the idea really hard and direct it into happening, and it may happen. But this usually requires that you're very skilled at meditation. So then we move into energetic magic, where you're not just using the magic of your own mind, the energy of your own mind to effect change, but you're also using the energy available in nature. You're using the energy of fire, classical elements, for example, and white magicians. Some white magicians are willing to admit this. I am. Wiccans probably definitely are not. It should be apparent by now that I'm not a big fan of Wicca. Blood. I'm going to do a whole video on blood magic, but trust me on this one. Blood has a lot of energy which can be directed toward a particular objective. But once the blood is filled, once the energy is done, that still might not be enough to readjust the spiritual forces. For this we need spirits, entities that already exist, who can be convinced to assist us to weight the scales even further. If you don't believe this outright, I mean, the Bible talks about there being angels encamped around certain people. And what is prayer anyway, right? It's an appeal to the Spirit, the Supreme Spirit, God, to place his finger as a weight on the scale to make what you believe you need to be manifested, right? So we live in a world where a lot of people think about it, but they don't have a developed system of it. That's where magicians get into categorizing spirits, demons, angels, elementals, remnants, and trying to work with them and to use them. So I hope you've enjoyed this very brief introduction to what magic is. I'm going to go into more depth with all of these concepts shortly. Thank you.